Wales on the up, England struggling for consistent performances. It sounded like a recipe for a real nail biter, but, well, it didn't really turn out that way. Hello, amateurs, and welcome back to our Six Nations series. And I've got Huw Jones with me here today. Huw, how are you doing?
Just trying to make sense of what happened yesterday, I suppose, Tim. Yeah. Down in the dumps, I think, is the word.
Yeah, and I felt all that Welsh pain as well. As much as I was delighted for the English performance, it was, it's never nice to see a team and the coaching staff as well. I thought towards the end of the game it's always kind of hard to take. But let's go through this bit by bit, because actually I was even more nervous at the start of this game after the Welsh under-20s had stopped England getting a grand slam on the night before in Cardiff. Do you feel like that sort of added to the sort of tension before the game?
Oh, definitely. The under-20s game, what a game that was on Friday night. Excellent game. And that's what's difficult to take, is the difference between the two performances, how sort of driven the under-20s boys seemed. They tackled anything that moved. The defence was so good, so structured. Everybody clearly knew what they were doing. And then you compare that or contrast that then with yesterday's performance, and defensively, I read something last night saying it looked like there was 15 Welsh players reading 15 different books on defence, all on 15 different pages. And I think that probably about sums it up of where we were defensively yesterday. So yeah, it was a stark contrast really in the sort of the level that was achieved yesterday compared to the level that was achieved on Friday night.
Yeah, I read that same thing. I think it was Russell Earnshaw on Twitter.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, before the game started, though, I just always love talking about this because the stadium, the lights, the fireworks, I mean, it's just such an incredible environment and atmosphere. I've never been to the Principality on a match day. I know you have. So tell me a little bit about it and how it feels in the stadium.
They've got that right, I think, now. That's one thing they have got right. The whole thing of closing the roof. So it's not whether the opposition will happily do it anymore. It's our stadium. We're closing the roof. And if you don't like it, build your own stadium with a roof and close it yourself. It should have always been like that, in my opinion. But yeah,
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, it does add to the atmosphere, and it does sort of build it up before the game. There's a good mix now, I think, of the modern and the traditional. You've got the choir singing, and but I think we possibly go too far with that. I was there for the Island game, and the last but one song before the anthems was "Fields of Athenry." Nah, bring your own choir and sing it. We're not singing your songs. I'm a bit like that with it. It's our stadium. Why are we singing their songs to the choir? Good hosts and all. I get that, but we don't need to do that. There was enough Irish people there to sing it themselves. So I do think it's a good mix before the game, and like you say, with the sort of the light show and everything that goes with it. We're trying to attract people and possibly different people, and I do think that is a really good build up to the game now. They've got that right, so it does whip up the atmosphere in there. It's just a shame it got silenced and dampened so quickly then.
Yeah, because England did get off to a very good start, and a tail peel led to Itoje just scoring what looked like a try that seemed just too easy, to be honest. But that actually only made me feel more nervous, because England under-20s had scored after about 3 minutes on the night before, and that was as good as it got for them. So rather than making me feel brilliant, England are off to a great start here, it made me think, that almost came too easily.
Yeah, and we did respond to that, didn't we? I know you scored again, but I think the Blair Murray decision, that momentum's huge in games, isn't it? And that was a big momentum swing there. And again, had the crowd back into the game. And for me, Thomas Williams hasn't made any impact on Kerry because Kerry's can't see him. He's behind him. So he's making his play for the ball based on he's looking at the ball. He's not even aware that he's there. So I think for him to say that he had an impact on what Kerry was doing there, I think that was a poor call. But, and that's not me griping about the ref. England were much, much better than us in every facet yesterday. But I think that did have a big impact on the game early on, definitely.
Yeah, and it's actually a theme that continued throughout the game. Yes, England were the better team. Yes, they were better than Wales yesterday, but they also got every 50-50 decision or every little bit of luck did seem to go England's way. Blair Murray could have had a hat trick. That try, 2 kick through ones, the tap tackle from Luke Cowan-Dickie when it looked like he was gone. And then England scored off 2 headers as well. So all these little breaks of play, they all seem to go England's way. So although England were the better team, I think the scoreboard, it was as bad as it could get on the scoreboard for the sort of 2 respective performances.
Yeah, the tap tackle one, again, I felt Curry was then offside from that when the ball sort of got turned over. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was my feeling on it. Was every 50-50 went against us yesterday. And every kind of decision that we could have made to make things better, we got wrong as well. I know Ellis Mee, when he went through and he could have just square up a pass. You know, it's what you say to like your 7 kids in school. You got 2 men outside, you just square up, check that last defender, and pass it to the man outside you. And he's okay. Could they have still scored then as well when he's gone through and offloaded, and Max Llewellyn's knocked it on to Aaron Wainwright was knocked it on. But those boys were expecting the pass earlier, so like all those things went against us. But again, I'm not taking anything away from England. They were exceptional yesterday and played really well.
Yeah, that Ellis Mee one was something I wanted to talk about as well, because initially he did brilliantly because he was running on a short line, realised the space was outside, so he just checked his feet and then went outside. So he did that bit brilliantly. And then sometimes you can have too many people in one channel. And I think maybe because there was Llewellyn and Wainwright in that tiny amount of space, that maybe spooked him a little bit and he wasn't quite sure which one to pass to, so then went for it himself. I don't know. That's just supposition a little bit there.
Yeah, maybe, but like for me, an international rugby player has got to take a 3-on-1, and he didn't.
Yeah,
the end of the day, so.
That's the bottom line, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's if you go back to England though, they did. All their attack was multi-option. They like I said, our defense was poor, and I think at one point it appeared that we just given up defending in the 50-meter channels. So that was poor, and you have to question our defence. We conceded 29 tries in the Six Nations. You know, like we got rid of our attack coach and our head coach, and yet our defence coach is still there. Whether he'll still be there after this, I don't know. We've got to ask questions there, really. I don't know if we've ever conceded more than that in any Six Nations or 5 Nations. I doubt it. But the questions have got to be asked to that, because again, it looked yesterday as if defensively the players weren't sure what they were supposed to be doing. Okay, we had a centre playing on the wing, so that might add to it. But that's a huge issue for me, I think, because if you get your defence right, you're always in games. And we just haven't got it right. You know, even against Ireland, we leaked a load. That's probably easily the best we played by a long way. But I mean, if you 6 tries against you in a game, it's hard. It's really hard to win.
Yeah, completely. I mean, England seemed to just get the upper hand in the early phases of each play, and then they never let it go. So a good example of that is that they got Elliot Daly running against Gareth Anscombe a couple of times into midfield. He just got over the top of that contact situation. Yeah. That creates really quick ruck opportunities. And Mitchell obviously had a field day in that respect. So, yeah, I think Wales just got that initial defensive set wrong quite often, lost that physical battle and could never get back into it after that.
Yeah, and you know, getting over that game, and we've talked about this a lot this campaign, and we are so important to get go forward. And England got that go forward. And I think more importantly than that, they got speed of ball as well. So I think a really good example of that is Cunningham South's first try. So if you look, they went one way, and the England players had reloaded so much more quickly than the Welsh players. There wasn't any defenders in front of him. I think Blair Murray's trying to tackle him. Well, on the line, he's not going to do that, is he? Whereas because the speed of ball was so good, it enabled him to run against Blair Murray. Whereas if we'd slowed it down and you hadn't had to go forward, then he probably would have been running the forwards and they may have stopped him. So that was a big factor for me. England's speed of ball was excellent and it allowed them to play.
Yeah, and another factor that went into them getting that speed of ball was the amount of tip passes they were using in the forwards. That ball was moving around a lot, which is something we haven't always seen with England. They talk about wanting to be a ball movement team, but I think yesterday we genuinely saw it. Just that extra pass got on people on a weak shoulder, which then again creates quick ruck, which they fed off.
Oh, definitely. It's much more difficult because you could, as you say, up until now, you know, whoever is that point in that three is probably going to carry the ball. Whereas yesterday they did move that point of contact, and it is, again, if your defence is disjointed, it's easier to throw those passes as well, and we were. But there were signs of that from Wales in the last 20 minutes as well, where we were throwing those tip passes, and there were some really good signs in that. We played some really good stuff, but just didn't finish things off then. So I'm obviously clutching the straws here to try and get some positives for us, but I did feel there was a little bit of that in the last 20 minutes or so. But yeah, with England, they definitely exposed our poor defence yesterday by getting that extra pass in and moving us around.
Yeah, I think the bright spark, you're right, is that Wales did get some good attack on the pitch and scored 2 good tries. And I think that actually the centres were the 2 players for Wales who probably showed up the best. Ben Thomas with just sort of his intelligent running and passing. And I thought Gareth Llewellyn gave you some good, decent go forward as well at times.
Yeah, well, I hope Gareth Llewellyn isn't still playing. He's about 58, Tim. No, but Max was good. Yeah, again, and for me, when they took Max Llewellyn off, I was scratching my head a bit. I thought, oh, he's been one of our best attackers, but then I don't suppose you can take Ben Thomas off because of the role he plays now, because Tompkins isn't going to play that role in the same way, and they always feel like they have to empty the bench, don't they? So. Yeah, Ben Thomas, since he's moved to 12, has been a positive, I think. He gives us that extra ball player, and it's almost something that whoever comes in next has got to work with it, you know?
Yeah, completely. For England, I mean, he got given man of the match, but I thought Ben Curry, some of his turnovers, you're just kind of like, how has he done that? And he sort of goes running off with the ball as well afterwards, quite typically. And he's coming up on the rails here, and I think he might be a potential Lions. I think he would be classed as a bolter, especially in that really competitive area.
Yeah, again, I read something last night saying, well, don't take both carries. Don't pick both carries for the Lions. Just pick one, but take the 2 because nobody knows anyway. You could play one in each half and nobody would know. But no, I agree. I thought he was superb yesterday. We talked about this on Friday, didn't we? Like how important that breakdown was going to be, and England dominated the say, didn't they? It was interesting to see then. It seems as well you've come up with another a player who's, I didn't think this would be possible, but is even more annoying than Ben Earl on the field in Pollock. And he's annoyingly good, isn't he? But again, going back to Curry, he's both of them are just exceptional. What they do and how they do it, because both brothers, when they get a turnover, they look to play as well. It's not just, I'll get rid of it. It's right, what can I do with the ball? Let's play with it. So that's what I like about them. And you think really they were that good yesterday, both of them, that Ben Earl seemed to have a quiet game because they were involved so much. And Ben Earl was good as well, but because they were involved so much, it took the limelight away from him a bit.
Yeah, completely. Pollock was definitely somebody I wanted to talk about as well. It's interesting about that annoying factor. He's definitely toned that down within the last 12 months, by the way. When he was playing for England under 20s last year, he was,
I hated him then. I hated him then. Like, his card was marked from watching him for the under 20s. Not just against Wales, but against other players as well. I think there was a little bit of shithousery yesterday, one there where he grabbed someone's sock. I think it was one of the props that had come on as he was walking past the ruck. He's on the floor and he's grabbed his sock. Then he's gone to just take him out. And it's just those little things in there. And he's just like, yeah, okay, we're going to hate you for a long time in Wales, I think. In a good way, because you wouldn't hate him if he was rubbish with you. So.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I was delighted for him that, he got his debut, and to score 2 tries as well on your debut is just stuff of dreams, really. And they were both created by George Ford, who came on. I mean, it was a good situation to come on to the pitch for, really, isn't it, for your 99th cap? But the quality of his passing, absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's his 99th cap. He's coming on into a game where they're dominant. They're winning rucks, they're winning contact areas, they're winning collisions. His speed of ball is through the roof. He should be able to do that, shouldn't he? But he did it really well, in fairness. Again, we talked about him, didn't we, in the week, and what sort of a factor he would be. And Yeah, he was excellent when he came on again, depressingly. So everyone was excellent for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was so good that even Steve Borthwick was smiling at the end, which is a rarity. He normally keeps his cards very close to his chest, no matter what the situation.
Yeah, well, there's two very contrasting pictures in there. There's the picture of Steve Borthwick smiling, who you never see, and then there's the picture of Adam Jones that everybody's seen, which is kind of going viral, which probably sums up the mood of a nation, that picture of Adam Jones, really, as does Borthwick's for England. So, yeah.
Yeah, that made me feel quite sad seeing that image of Adam Jones in particular, because you know what, I mean, they're all good men, but like, you know how big his heart is and how much that would have hurt him personally as well.
Yeah, of course it does. And I don't think any of the other coaching staff are any different. Like, everybody's hurting from this. The players, you're going to get people who are flying into the players. Like, again, you can't say nobody tried hard. It was just one of those games where nothing went our way, nothing went for us, and everything that England tried seemed to come off as well. All the 50-50s, all the luck things were, how many times you see a ball come off someone's head and people score? Well, that happened twice. It's a massive impact. So yeah, well, it's one of those days, and it's probably something. Had we been okay yesterday and England had just won and we'd been competitive, then I don't think there probably would have been the wholesale changes that are necessary. It would have been just some more papering over the cracks. And I know, like, Huw Jones has come out saying, look, this is something now that we need wholesale changes. And I know he can be outspoken, Huw Jones, but I think he's right. But, things have to change. I don't know how that looks. It's clearly not working at the moment for us, is it? So.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a ride, this championships for Wales, for sure, and it looks like that ride is going to continue until some stability is found somehow and somewhere. And yeah, I don't know what that looks like either, and it's going to be a difficult time for a little while yet, I'm sure. Okay, we'll bring this one to a close, unless there's any other sort of players or moments that you want to pick out and talk about. You
well, we talked earlier, didn't we, about how poor we've been defensively. And it's a guy we know quite well in Wales, who I think can sort that out, and has probably never been given has never been given a head coaching job in international rugby. And we know I'm talking about Sean Edwards here, and there is a little bit of, is he going to stay with France? Is he not? Did him and Galtier fall out, and how long is that relationship going to last? And I know it's not just about who's coaching, but I think you get him. I would probably be tempted to him to be head coach of Wales, because he did a really good job as head coach when he was at Wasps, didn't he, before coming to Wales. So for me, we go and get him, and we say, look, do you want to do this? And we'll do it your way in terms of the national team, and then make sure we rebuild that infrastructure around the national team, because whether people like it or not, regions, academies, grassroots rugby is all funded by our national game. And how many people can we get in that stadium? And if Wales are losing by 60 points to teams every week, we're not going to fill that stadium. And as a result, there's not going to be funding for the regions, for grassroots rugby. So I know it seems a bit odd to build it from the top down, but it has to be that way, because that's where the money comes from. So I think we need to get that right. And then we look at it, and everything else has to be changed as well then.
Yeah, okay. People at home, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below, especially about that. Is Sean Edwards the man to turn this around? Way down there, give this video a thumbs up if you don't mind. It helps other people find it. Thank you so much for watching throughout this Six Nations Championship. It's been wonderful bringing all this stuff to you. And Huw, thank you so much for your time once again today, especially today in such sort of difficult circumstances.
Very welcome, Tim. I've enjoyed doing all of these this year, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. And thank you again. It's been a pleasure having you on. People at home, you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. And don't forget to get out and play.